You look at what Sierra Leone have to offer when it comes to our mineral resources. The kind of mineral resources we have in our country is enough to take care of everybody in that country. We should not have a single poor person in Sierra Leone. But unfortunately, we are not given the free will to make decisions on our own mineral resources.
When you look at what Sierra Leone have to offer in terms of natural resources, we have enough to cater for the people of Sierra Leone. But unfortunately, we have not been given the free will to choose what is right for our people. That was coming from the First Lady of Sierra Leone, the state of Sierra Leone. I thank you very much for coming around. I am your missionary brother Dobia Anzansi. Please, if you haven't joined our mission yet, please take time out of your busy schedules. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, One African Mission, and also follow us on Facebook, One African Mission, on TikTok, One African Mission. We are on all the social media handles. Please follow us. Let us all together fight to bring an end to this exploitation of Africa, because I'll be showing you the full video whilst our First Lady, our beautiful, intelligent First Lady, is complaining about how the resources of Sierra Leone is not benefiting the state of Sierra Leone. But this is not only peculiar to the state of Sierra Leone. It is the entire continent of Africa, and also in the diaspora, in the Caribbean, as our people are there. Everywhere we found ourselves, these colonial criminals wouldn't leave us alone. And as our First Lady is saying, we are not giving the free will. They're never gonna give us the free will. They're never gonna give us. We have to take it as men and women. We have to stand up. They didn't give the Chinese the free will to choose for their people. The Chinese people stand up for their own people, and today China is a prosperous nation. So if we want a prosperous Africa, then we have to take our dignity, our destiny into our own hands. Nobody is coming to save Africa, but we the children of Africa. No complaint, no good interviews, no good English would push the colonial criminals away from exploiting the continent of Africa. The only way we can bring an end to the exploitation of Africa is by uniting the continent of Africa. Only unity that can bring an end to our suffering as children of Africa.
What we are doing for ourselves in order to unite Africa. We belong to this continent. We don't mind having and bearing sanctions banning us from Europe. We are not Europeans. We have not asked for any inch of Europe, or any square inch of that territory. So, Blair, keep your England and let me keep my Zimbabwe.
Yes, so that was Comrade Mugabe. Yes, so as I said, the First Lady of Sierra Leone, let us go and watch her full video as she talk about how the resources of Sierra Leone are being exploited by the colonial criminals, while Sierra Leone, the citizens of Sierra Leone are languishing in poverty. These colonial criminals are wicked. They are heartless people. And as I said, they will never give us the opportunity to use our resources for our own good. Never. We have to take it by any means necessary. We have to take it. So let us watch the full video. I'm sure you might have watched it. Come back and analyze it based on our own perspective as people, as missionaries who are fighting for the unification of Africa. Let us watch the full video, please.
Most fundamental corruptions of the social contract in human history is colonialism.
Yeah.
And it's that mechanism that some states have used to extract resources from other places, such as Sierra Leone. That deprives countries of the resources they need for government services, for education, for health. So I was hoping you could reflect a little bit on what those forces have done to Sierra Leone, and what kind of accountability we might be able to think about, just to imagine a way forward from where we've begun now.
When you look at what Sierra Leone have to offer, when it comes to our mineral resources, the kind of mineral resources we have in our country is enough to take care of everybody in that country. We should not have a single poor person in Sierra Leone. But unfortunately, we are not given the free will to make decisions on our own mineral resources. There's always Big Brother who decides. And when you fight and say, no, we are not going to do this, they use the system to stop you. It's either they set you up with the opposition and they'll be supporting the opposition against you from the back, or they cause unnecessary chaos in your country so that you are not able to even govern your own people. They will do things to make you not to be functionable. And of course, any country that don't have peace cannot develop. You have to have peace before you talk about development. I'll give you a simple example about Sierra Leone. Every mining company that is in Sierra Leone today is owned by a foreigner. Every mining company. If it's not the Chinese, it's the American, it's the British. Our electricity, Bumuna, is run by the British, and we still don't have light. We're looking for light, electricity. If you don't have electricity, how can you talk about education? How can you talk about health facility? How can you talk about improving the infrastructure of your country? We don't have electricity. Now, do we actually even have proper water, pipe-borne water, so that our kids will not be sick? We don't have those facilities. Why? With all the minerals we have, there is a cap you put. Before my husband became the president of Sierra Leone was benefiting, they said, what's the word? 0.000.1%. What is that? Basically, a company can take as much as $100 million out of the country in terms of minerals, and then they can just give the country $10,000. Now, what will $10,000 do for our health system? What is $10,000 do for our educational system? And these are the things I believe that are stopping Africa from progressing. We don't have a say. The sense about us celebrating independence, I don't know why we celebrate independence, because we are not free. That is my own take. I'm not speaking also on behalf of the government of Sierra Leone, nor am I speaking on behalf of His Excellency the President. I am speaking as Fatima, as a citizen of a country who believes that things need to change.
I join you in that sense. I'm Jesse. I'm a person.
Yes, so our First Lady, very intelligent, very bold lady. She must be really bold. For her to, she has the courage, the anxiety to come out to talk like this on an international platform like this. She has the courage, because most of her colleagues first ladies in Africa will never open their mouth and talk. Because why? She talk about percentages being given to countries. They and their husbands take that percentage and they go around. They go to Paris, to London, to Dubai, doing shopping. Most first ladies, that is the only thing they know. So for her to be a first lady in a state of Sierra Leone and come out, that means she must have been really, really worried about what is happening. She really cares for her people, because it is only somebody, a woman who cares for her children, will come out and talk like this against the system. The other first ladies we know, they are gallivanting all over the world, doing expensive shopping in Dubai, in Paris, and what have you. They don't care. So for her to talk like this, it means she really care about her people. Yeah. So let's get to what she said. She spoke a lot. She talked about how when her husband came into office, she gave an example. When her husband came into office, they were reviewing the contract, the agreement that Sierra Leone signed with companies. And then she said, she gave an example as to a company will make $100 million. A company will make $100 million, and in return, they will give Sierra Leone $10,000. Out of that $100 million, they will give Sierra Leone $10,000. These colonial criminals are heartless people. They are heartless people. And as I said, they will never give us our freedom unless we take it. Imagine if it were we Africans exploiting Europe like this. Do you think these colonial criminals would have taken? Imagine if the table has turned around and then we will go to Britain. We from Sierra Leone will go to Britain, take their resources, come and develop Sierra Leone and give them $10,000. Do you think the British people would have taken it? They would have waged war against us. So why are they exploiting us and then we have allowed it to continue? It is about time we bring an end to it. It's about time we bring an end to it. And as I said, that $10,000 you're talking about, Madam First Lady, that $10,000 is not meant for the country of Sierra Leone. That is what the colonial criminals have done to us. That $10,000 is meant for the puppet leaders that they put in office. It is for them and their family. That is the reason why you will see Macky Sall, after he hand over to a new government, he didn't even stay in that country for one day. He has to fly to Paris.
Macky Sall, the former head of state of Senegal, has left the country hours after the inauguration of his successor, Diomaye Faye. Although the destination of Sall's flight has not been officially mentioned, reports suggest that he is most likely to land in Paris, France. This is not surprising, as just a few days before his departure
to France, how betrayal could it be? That is treacherous. How betrayal could it be that as citizens of a senior citizens of a country, after you hand over former president, that very first day, that very day you left the country, and then France will welcome you. France will take him and say, "Boy, sit down here. You did a great job. At least you betray your country. Come and sit down here." Do you think the French will do the same thing? And as I said it before, in Africa, we have not been able to deal with traitors. That is why we are where we are today. Because what the former president of Senegal has done is serious. No European country will take that. You hand over that very first. You will never step your foot in that country. You betray the country. You'll be seen as a traitor. And that is what we should start doing to those traitors. So yes, that $10,000, that a company will take will sign an agreement with you for 0.00.1, and then your percentage is just out of $100 million. Your percentage is there 10,000. That 10,000 is not meant for roads in your country. It is not meant to give your people good water. It is meant for the political criminals and their family to be using that money to be investing, buying properties in London, in Europe, in Britain, and in America. And that is exactly what some leaders are doing in Africa. So yes, first of all, that $10,000 is not for you. It's not for the country. It's just for those in office, those political puppets that they put in office, because the colonial criminals never left Africa. After they claim to be living, they put in their puppets, and those puppets are there to look after the resources that they have been exploiting. So it is up to us as children of Africa to put the rightful people, like the likes of Captain Traoré and co, in office, so that they will use the resources of Africa for the children, for the benefit of the children of Africa. She also talked about, She also talked about how a British company is supposed to be providing electricity for the citizens of Sierra Leone, and yet Sierra Leone doesn't have electricity. Yes, that company is not there to provide you electricity. That company is there to provide electricity for the mining companies in Sierra Leone. That is what we should know. We should be smart enough to know these people. They are able to provide 24/7 electricity for British citizens. A British citizen will grow up and never know what is light off or light on. The electricity is there 24/7. But they come to your country, sign a contract with you, and they cannot provide you electricity. They cannot provide you electricity. They are not there to provide you that electricity. They are there to provide electricity for the companies and the British citizens in Sierra Leone. So it is about time we take our destiny into our own hands. Yes, we cannot continue to be relying on these people. We cannot continue to be relying on them. It is about time Africans take. Yes, and then she also made a very important point, very important point, because I've said it here before. Look, she said, when a government come into power and you want to use the resources, or you want to fight to use the resources of your country for the good of the citizens, you will see them, the so-called big brother, she called them. You see them, they will begin to cause chaos in your country. And it is very true. I've said it here before. If you watch the situation in Kenya today, the president of Kenya is quiet. He doesn't talk again. Why? When he took office, the youthful exuberance, he was all over the place trying to prove that we can also do it. We have the men and women, because he know we have the men and women. But what did we see? Within some few months, there were demonstrations and chaos everywhere in Kenya. There were chaos everywhere in Kenya. Demonstration, the economy is hard, everything. They nearly brought down his government. And now that he's quiet, what has suddenly, all of a sudden, changed? Are you trying to tell me that today everything is perfect in Kenya? Why we are not seeing demonstrations in Kenya? Those demonstrations was instigated by the CIA and that of the colonial criminal intelligence. And that is exactly what our First Lady was talking about. Because there is always an opposition leader who is more than ready to betray the country to come into power. So that if you come into power and then you said you sign an agreement with a company, an American company or a Chinese company or a British company, that we are going to be getting 5% or less than 1% of our resources. Now, I'm not going to take it. There's an opposition leader who is more than ready to take that 5%. And they will promise him, if you are ready to give us what we need, and then if you are ready to take that 5%, we will bring down that government and put you in. And if you agree, then they will do that. We saw it in Gambia. We saw it in Ghana. We saw it in many African countries. We saw it recently. They wanted to do the same thing in Zimbabwe. The Zimbabwean people were very lucky that the Chinese and the Russians elected them.
Bring you to understand the French scenario by making you understand what happened in the last Zimbabwean elections. So what happened in the last Zimbabwean elections is the opposition did not really campaign that much. They campaigned here and there, but they had no real strategy. In fact, they used something that was called strategic ambiguity. That's what they actually called their strategy. We're not going to tell you what's happening, and you're going to keep guessing, and then we're just going to surprise you at the end. It became clear what the strategic ambiguity strategy was. The Americans had a team in Turkey, and they had a team in Kenya. And these guys were utilizing computers to hack into our central election system of the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. Hackers that were in Kenya and some hackers that were in Zimbabwe were supposed to hack into the system, that when the V11s are being entered into the system, they're shifting and changing the numbers. Once that's done, on the day of announcing the results, the people at ZEC won't have time to get a tally, a physical tally of all the V11s to then give them a number. They have to announce what's on the computer. And once they had announced what's on the computer, based on the media allegations that are already being made, oh, ZANU-PF is cheating, ZANU-PF is rigging, ZANU-PF is doing this, the number that's announced there would be the number that's accepted. So that even when a physical tally is made of the V11s, and ZANU-PF actually realizes that the result could have been different, when they try to go to the media and give this information, no one would listen to it. So the Russians and the Chinese have a vested interest in Zimbabwe. China has built the biggest steel plant in Africa in Zimbabwe. So they gave information through our central organizations, had this information that there's going to be a hacking job that's going to be done. So they closed the American hackers out of the system without the American hackers realizing that they had been caught out. And what was supposed to happen is while the hackers were doing their job, there were also people internally who were supposed to be on social media giving results
in real time
from the digital, not the physical.
Yeah.
But ZANU-PF fortunately was ahead of the curve. And that's how we were able to have the results that we got, because the Americans were rigging. And that's why Nelson Chamisa was so sure that he was going to win the elections. And that's also why they had put the American military in Zambia, so that once the results are announced from the digital, if ZANU-PF then contested with the physical count of the V11s, that army was ready to come in to force the Zimbabwean army to accept Nelson Chamisa, or for the ZANU-PF government to be removed forcefully. So they
wanted to do the same thing. So yes, we don't own anything. Our electoral system, we don't own it. They can decide who they want to put in office. So it is, if we want to see good governance in Africa as children of Africa, then we must stand up and support people who are ready to fight for Africa, who are ready to use the resources of Africa for Africa. Because as she said, if you are in office and you want to use your resources for the good of your people, they will create chaos in your government. And unfortunately, we always have people who are ready to betray the country for their own interests. It is all over Africa. So-called opposition leaders. I am not saying all opposition leaders are same or are ready to betray us. No, that is not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that most of the time, they will sign agreement with so-called opposition parties and then ask them, promise them, if you are ready to compromise, to continue to allow our companies to exploit your country, then we are ready, or we will bring you into power. We will create chaos in the country. And truly, they will do that. As I said, a typical example is Kenya. Today, we are all blaming the president of Kenya for being quiet. But yes, look at what was happening. All of a sudden, Kenya was in chaos. Everywhere. Demonstrations, because the economy was hard. Are you trying to tell me today this economy in Kenya is so perfect that nobody wants to demonstrate again? Why are we so gullible that the CIA, the British intelligence, the French, whatever, they can simply manipulate the citizens of Africa to stand up against governments or leaders who are ready to fight for our people? It is about time we also try to be smart and know when they are trying to manipulate us to stand up against good leaders. We have good leaders in Africa. It is just that they cannot work, because if they try to, their government will be brought down. As I said, they'll force you into going to IMF. The IMF is not there for us. They'll force you into going to the World Bank. The World Bank was not meant for us. The World Bank was meant to continue to keep us as a so-called third world countries.